Hey, it's Tony Brueski, and this is our week in review over the weekend, taking a look back at some of the most compelling conversations and stories that we've covered for you of the last week. Brand new episodes back Monday morning, bright and early, 5 a.m. here on the podcast.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring author, psychologist, and daily contributor, Siobhan Scott.
I'm curious to get your thoughts here on what's going on with the defense and Taylor, Brian Kohberger. Who's calling the shots? What's going on? It seems to be there's a lot of issues with the expert witness that they brought in, the FBI going and interviewing them, and Taylor having a lot of issue with the FBI visiting, and also, of course, Brian Kohberger's crotch, which was literally quoted as saying Brian Kohberger's crotch in some of the official documents, so I guess we'll say it here. As it's like it's everyone else's fault but their own is kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, it's, as I thought from the beginning with this, it's going to be difficult for the defense with so much evidence, DNA included. It just seems desperate to me. They're trying anything and everything they can possibly come up with. And their DNA expert does have a bit of an odd demeanor. So it makes one curious about, well, what other concerns are there that would cause the FBI to go out and, do an interview with her. It does seem a bit odd, but I assume there are reasons. We don't know what all those are at this point.
From what we've heard thus far is that she was recanting some of her testimony to colleagues after she gave her testimony in the hearing the other day, which is what caused prosecutor Bill Thompson to ask the FBI to investigate Vargas and just kind of figure out what's going on. He literally said, let's just go figure out what is happening here. Why is she recanting this? Number one, it's a little weird that the FBI is doing it. I just actually talked to Robin Dreek, former FBI agent, about 10 minutes ago before I talked to you. And that was his biggest question was, why is the FBI coming in? Why would it not be just like a local investigator or something of that nature? Why to this level? I wonder if it's just more so because of the gravity of the case. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, it could be the gravity of the case. And then the thing that occurred to me, there may be other factors that are just not being made public right now about the lady. And as I say, I hate to judge people on appearance, but I would say just the little bit I've seen of her, she comes off odd, so there could be some other secrets going on with her.
And I don't know what to make of that anymore. And it's weird to say it out loud, but when you're a professional, and I don't be offended anyone, but traditionally through most of our civilization and society, when one is having a color of hair that is not remotely natural whatsoever, and you're supposed to be an expert in a fairly serious field, it doesn't come across as the most professional. Some will argue and say it doesn't matter, you're judging. I'm just telling you, this is how a good chunk, probably anybody over the age of 40 is going to view you for the most part. Maybe younger is different, but if you want to come across as being serious and professional, that may be an issue for you.
Yeah. And when we do, kind of a psychological assessment of somebody, just a superficial assessment, the appearance is always noted, and whether they have a more conventional appearance or if they have an unusual appearance. And yes, for a person who's presenting themselves as an expert witness in court in major trials, having an eccentric appearance does not bode well. It would be noted as unusual, and there's meaning in it. I don't know what the meaning is, but I would note that.
I would say so. Now, what it is, we don't know the answer to it. I'm not trying to pick on her looks, but I guess the more important thing is recanting your testimony right after giving what appears to be expert testimony. Also, the fact that she's only been really doing any of this for the last handful of years. We're talking 2018 and self-taught. So how much of an expert can one truly be on a very specific topic? Especially when we're talking about putting someone away for life or death. Wouldn't you want somebody a little more seasoned that has a little more credibility in every way, shape, and form you can possibly find it?
You sure would if you could find somebody, that would give you what you want. And it very well may be that they could not come up with anybody who had a more professional demeanor.
Yeah, you're probably right there where the pickings might have been a little bit low. The other thing that we're hearing a lot of from Ann Taylor, and this is her words in the case of the why is everyone focused on Brian Kohberger's crotch? Well, if you go into a courtroom with your fly down and you have cameras on you, chances are people are going to notice. It doesn't mean we're trying to overfocus on you, but come on. I mean, no matter what, if he was on trial for stealing a kitten and his fly was down, people would be focusing on that.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing is just a bit odd and surreal at times. Yeah. And that's just another layer to it.
Yeah, very, very much. Delaying the trial, this obviously opens up a lot of windows. The investigation is not going to end till this trial starts. Literally, it will stop the day that this trial starts. They'll keep digging. But it also obviously opens up a lot more time for the defense and any emotions that they want to present. Obviously, death being on the table, that's the big thing. Do you think this extra time is going to help them maybe move that off of the table? And is that maybe the sole goal of waiving the right to a speedy trial?
Yeah, it sure could be. That's difficult to know what all the plans are at this point. But as all the legal experts seem to say, it's going to benefit them to have more time.
Yeah, without a doubt. With all this extra time that's going on and with the attention that's been given to kind of bizarre things here and trying to analyze who is calling the shots on here. Is it Ann Taylor that's pointing out the fly and the crotch issue? Is it Ann Taylor that's having the issue with the agent, or not the agent, the expert witness? Or are these concerns and insecurities of Kohberger himself that are coming to light through the attorney? In your opinion, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really hard to know. One would think that in a case like this, that the attorney would be the one really making the big decisions and has most of the power. But every so often you have a defendant who's just really unusual and, is not cooperating with the attorney and coming up with their own ideas and their own strategy. And then the attorneys have to work with that. Mm-hmm. Maybe someday there'll be a book written by someone who goes into all of it and what was happening behind the scenes. It is interesting to speculate.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers Podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.